Hi, welcome to Let Us Seek the Lord. Again, we are seeking the Lord through reading His Word, chapter or two at a time. It'll take us 3.5 years to get through. But one of the things that I would like to point out today, before we get to reading, is my shirt says this: the Alliance, living the call together. That's something I think a lot of people miss about Christianity. It's not about Sunday morning. Or is it about a service of some sort? It is about our relationship with Jesus and seeking Him together. When we find Him, oftentimes it's together. So, just a thought for today. So let's read from Numbers 16. Let's read from Numbers 16, long chapter, 1 through 50. Now Korah, the son of Ishar, the son of Kohath, the son of Levi, with Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. They rose up before Moses with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, representatives of the congregation, men of renown. They gathered together against Moses and Aaron and said to them, "You take too much upon yourselves. For all the congregation is holy, every one of them, and the Lord is among them. Why do you exalt yourselves above the assembly of the Lord?" So when Moses heard it, he fell on his face, and he spoke to Korah and all his company, saying, "Tomorrow morning the Lord will show who is his and who is holy, and will cause him to come near to him. That one whom he chooses, he will cause to come near to him. Do this. Take censers, Korah and all your company. Put fire in them and put incense in them before the Lord tomorrow. And it shall be that the man whom the Lord chooses is the Holy One. You take too much upon yourselves, you sons of Levi." Now, just in case there's anybody listening to this that doesn't know what a censer is, it's a little sheet of metal. It can be like bowl-shaped, or it can get quite ornate, actually, with little chains that come up so you can hold it, and you put charcoal or coals in the bowl, and you can hold it up there where it won't burn your hands. And then you can carry fire with you, and you can put incense on the censer. Okay, so that's what a censer is. So they're all going to get their censers with which you carry fire and put incense on it, and they're going to bring it on the next day. Then Moses said to Korah, "Hear now, you sons of Levi, it's a small thing to you. Is it a small thing to you that the God of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to do the work of the tabernacle of the Lord, and to stand before the congregation to serve them? And that he has brought you near to himself, you and all your brethren, the sons of Levi, with you? Are you seeking the priesthood also? Therefore you and all your company are gathered together against the Lord. And what is Aaron that you complain against him?" And Moses sent to call Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, "We will not come up. Is it a small thing that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you should keep acting like a prince over us? Moreover, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor given us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you put out the eyes of these men? We won't come up." And Moses is very angry, and he said to the Lord, "Don't respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I hurt one of them." Moses said to Korah, "Tomorrow you and all your company will be present for the Lord, you and they, as well as Aaron. Let each take his censer and put incense in it, and each of you bring his censer before the Lord, 250 censers, both you and Aaron, each with his censer." So every man took his censer, put fire in it, laid incense on it, and stood at the door of the tabernacle meeting with Moses and Aaron. And Korah gathered all the congregation against them at the door of the tabernacle meeting, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the congregation. And the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Separate yourselves from among this congregation, that I might consume them in a moment." Then they fell on their faces and said, "Oh God, God of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin and you be angry with all the congregation?" So the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the congregation, saying, get away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram." Then Moses rose and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel followed him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, "Depart now from the tents of these wicked men, touch nothing of theirs, lest you be consumed in all their sins." So they got away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of their tents with their wives, their sons, and their little children. And Moses said, "By this you shall know that the Lord has sent me to do all these works. I have not done these of my own will. If these men die naturally, like all men, or if they're visited by the common fate of all men, then the Lord hadn't sent me. But if the Lord creates a new thing and opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into the pit, then you will understand that these men have rejected the Lord." Now, it came to pass, as he finished speaking all these words, the ground split apart under them. The earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households and all the men with Korah, with all their goods, so that they and all those went down alive into the pit. The earth closed over them, and they perished from among the assembly. Then all Israel who were around them fled at their cry, for they said, "Lest the earth swallow us up also." And a fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Tell Eleazar, the son of Aaron the priest, to pick up the censers out of the blaze, for they are holy, and scatter the fire some distance away. The censers of these men who sinned against their own souls, let them be made into hammered plates as a covering for the altar, because they presented them before the Lord. Therefore they are holy, and they shall be a sign to the children of Israel." So Eleazar the priest took the bronze censers, which those who were burned up had presented, and they were hammered out as a covering on the altar, to be a memorial to the children of Israel, that no outsider who is not a descendant of Aaron should come near to offer incense before the Lord, that he might not become like Korah and his companions, just as the Lord had said to him through Moses. On the next day, the congregation of the children of Israel complained against Moses and Aaron, saying, "You have killed the people of the Lord." Now it happened that the congregation had gathered against Moses and Aaron, that they turned towards the tabernacle of meeting, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the glory of the Lord appeared. Then Moses and Aaron came before the tabernacle of meeting. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Get away from this congregation, that I may consume them in a moment." And they all fell on their faces. So Moses said to Aaron, "Take a censer, put fire in it from the altar, put incense on it, and take it quickly to the congregation and make atonement for them, for the wrath has gone out from the Lord, and a plague has begun." And Aaron took it as Moses commanded, and he ran into the midst of the assembly. And already the plague had begun among the people. So he put in the incense and made atonement for the people. And he stood between the dead and the living. So the plague was stopped. Now those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died in the Korah incident. So Aaron returned to Moses at the door of the tabernacle meeting, for the plague had stopped. He was one of the most impressive men that I've ever met. He had many degrees, which I believe included a certificate from Moody Bible Institute, a BA, a master's in counseling, and a THD, all from institutions which I greatly admire. He was extremely articulate, a great teacher of the Word. He immediately attracted people to himself and began teaching a Bible study, which was honestly, it was wonderfully beneficial to those involved. But there were some things that he saw that he thought were wrong about my ministry. Among them was that he said I was arrogant. He led a group of people that demanded my resignation. At one point during the struggle, he suggested that I was mentally ill, and he was afraid that I might commit suicide. And he didn't say that to me. He told it to my superintendent. Eventually, he called me a hireling and said that my life was a waste. After leaving our church, he went to another where he did a similar thing with the pastor there. He claimed that he had no desire to promote himself, but that I was deficient in my service. In terms of gaining a following, he was indeed a man of renown. How is it that people who have seen the glory of God can be so obstinate in seeking their own glory? I'm not sure I can answer that question, other than the simple answer that is inherent in the heart of all humans as part of the sin nature. We do not see a clearer example than in this chapter. If God had not so clearly been involved in Moses' leadership, then one might be able to excuse Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. But by this time, God had many times revealed himself through Moses and his ministry. Well, this speaks to me that I've got to be very careful, inasmuch as my heart is extremely susceptible to self-deception. Yeah, Moses had taken on much authority, but it was all at the call of God, not his own. The events of the Exodus and the first year and a half of Egypt should have clearly demonstrated that. Why would these men of renown criticize Moses in this way? Certainly God had told the nation that he wanted them to be a kingdom of priests, but they had rejected it by their response to God's appearance at Mount Sinai, chapter 20, verses 18 through 19. It's almost as if there was enough time for the shock and awe of the appearance of God to wear off, and that the people had already forgot his awesome glory. How is it these men of renown could so easily forget? How is it that they became known as men of renown anyway? First of all, they were apparently heads of family groups. That helped. Secondly, by this time, the nation had already gained a major military victory over the Amalekites in Exodus 17. Undoubtedly, they had gained the reputation by the way they fought and or helped organize the battle. However it happened, the point is that the text clearly states that they were men of renown. Could it possibly be that their own renown went to their heads? I think it had. And there was one cure for it. God once again revealed himself in his glory. This time, it was the glory of his wrath. In response to the glory of God, the ground opened up and ate 250 men of renown for lunch. Tasty. I'd better be careful about his glory. We need to be careful that when God has put someone in place of responsibility, that we don't oppose that authority unless there's clear sin involved. For indeed, we serve a glorious King. Seek his glory. Speak his glory to someone today. And remember, we live the call together.